समूहः। तत्र विश्वस्य उन्नततमः धार्मिकविग्रहः विद्यते। स च परिसरं 162.6 परिमिते प्रदेशे व्याप्तः। ख्मेर् राजवंशीयानां काले विष्णुदेवालयत्वेन एतस्य निर्माणम् अभवत्। क्रमेशः एषः देवालयः 12 शतमानि बौद्धदेवालयत्वेन परिवृतः। पूर्वतनाः राजानः शैवपरम्परां पालयन्ति स्म, परन्तु एतस्य मन्दिरस्य निर्माणकाले शैवपरम्परां विच्छिद्य विष्णु प्रतिष्ठापितः। एषः अत्युत्तमः परिरक्षितः देवालयः विद्यते, यतो हि अयं देवालयः निर्माणकालादारभ्य धार्मिककेन्द्ररूपेण सुदृढं स्थितः वर्तते। मन्दिरस्य भवने बहवः घट्टाः सन्ति। सर्वत्रापि विशिष्टाः शिल्पकलाकृतयः निर्मिताः। 6 फीट् परिमिताः कलाकृतयः अपि बहवः दृश्यन्ते। अनेकाः कलाकृतयः भित्तौ रचिताः अपि विद्यन्ते। ताः कलाकृतयः विविधान् धार्मिकान् ऐतिहासिकान् च विचारान् प्रतिपादयन्ति। हिन्दुपुराणकथानाम् अनेकेषां विवरणम् एतासु कलाकृतिषु द्रष्टुं शक्नुमः। Aravinth sir will be continuing the lecture in English, and he will be explaining the beauty of ANGKOR Wat.
Je crois que vous avez bien compris.
Est véritablement vivant là-bas, à Cambodia. Et dans cette forme de temple, ce temple, sa beauté de shilpa, la sculpture, c'est quelque chose que vous ne pouvez même pas imaginer. Et c'est dans l'ancienne tradition. Bien sûr, il y a eu le bouddhisme qui est venu beaucoup plus tard, mais la vraie base de ce temple, c'est le temple hindouiste. Et bien sûr, ça a beaucoup souffert, mais en même temps, la vraie beauté, chaque statue, chaque position, même de chaque mandala qui est créé par toutes ces formes-là, est quelque chose qui est inconcevable. Et nous avons de la chance de recevoir Aravinth Kumarasamy et Mohanapriyan Thavarajah, il est Raja, c'est fantastique. Et en même temps, vous voyez, pas seulement la culture de l'Inde qui est allée jusqu'à Singapour, mais aussi les familles indiennes. Et d'ailleurs, on retrouve dans chaque partie du monde maintenant la présence indienne, mais pas seulement une présence que les gens pensent. Ça m'avait toujours fait sourire, et spécialement on parle de l'immigration. Mais c'est une immigration de haute culture qui a fait répandre les vraies énergies de l'âme. Et c'était le cas à Cambodge, et vous allez découvrir avec les paroles, ça sera en anglais. Alors comment vous ne comprenez pas? Oh, tout le monde comprend. Everybody understands English, so it's a great joy for all of us that you are going to speak to us directly, and we shall be able to enjoy each and every word of yours. And it's so kind of you to come with slides so that we can visualize, we can understand the details of this sculpture and its beauty, and also the significance of all these things. Thank you very much. Please.
Thank you very much for having us here, and hopefully this will be an inspiring session. The topic is very vast, and obviously we can only speak about it in glimpses, yeah? Apologize for not being able to fluently speak French or in Sanskrit, though we could understand. And thank you for being kind enough to allow me to speak in English. So today's, as the topic says, we will look into the bas reliefs of these great temples of Angkor and its relation to dance and music. So the topic is very focused that way, and so it's not, I won't be here to talk about the entire history of Angkor and Angkor Wat. That is another topic by itself. So just to begin, I think Angkor was the capital city of the Khmer Empire, and also known as Sudarapura, and it flourished approximately from 9th to 15th century, and the city houses the magnificent Angkor temple. And the word Angkor comes from Sanskrit Nagar, so Nagara became Angkor, and the use of Sanskrit language is very, very prevalent in Cambodia, and of course their language has a lot of root words which are from Sanskrit, and many Sanskrit scholars, if you are very fluent in Sanskrit, you can almost understand what the Cambodians are speaking. And I've had the experience of taking dance scholar Dr. Padma Subramanian to Angkor, and within 5 minutes she was able to understand and converse with them because the use of the language is very strong. But give credit to the Cambodians. Later, as we speak about the various bas reliefs and the beautiful sculptures or the language, it is a country which didn't do copy-paste from India. So that's a very remarkable achievement. So they assimilated the ideologies, the iconography, the religion, the epical stories, and then they internalized it and then created their own manifestation of those, which is very remarkable, very rare, because normally you will see copy to copy, and of course bad copies, bad Xerox. But here it's very original, and the amount of depth into how much have they gone into the Hindu culture, into the epical stories are so deep that you may not even find such depth even in India. So that's another credit to the Cambodians for taking. Though we see the traces of Hindu architecture, Hindu epicals references in many parts of Southeast Asia, be it Thailand, be it Myanmar, be it Laos, Cambodia, of course the great Indonesia. But the Cambodians take a special credit of going deeper into the topic, going depth into the topic. And that's what makes us fascinated and interested to actually revisit this. And I'm so happy that we are making this presentation today on the French soil, because the credit goes to the French to rediscover Angkor and bring it to the world. So the world would have lost it into the forest of Cambodia if not for the French archaeologists who went in search of this great kingdom. And today I believe we are only able to see 60 to 70% of Angkor. Another 30% is yet to be discovered. And is still being discovered as we speak. In the last 5-6 months, 3 new temples were discovered. So there's more to go into the jungles and more to discover. And also in 2007, using NASA's help, they established that it was the largest city ever built by human beings in terms of history. So when London was a village with 500 inhabitants, Angkor had 1 million citizens with sewages, with water, drainage system, and fountains, libraries, temples, palaces. So that was in terms of how progressive it was and how well developed it was. And because of that, it was invaded a few times because it was a jealousy of people who were so awed by seeing how grand Angkor was. And these are historically recorded by travelers who came from China, travelers who came later from other parts of the world who have actually visited the city in the 10th century and have left behind records for us to actually see. But with the NASA's help, we could actually even see things that eyes can't see from space, to even trace the lot of architectural remains of the So this is ANGKOR. So it is a grand temple, and it is 1 mile by 1 mile by 1 mile is the actual size of the temple. And ANGKOR was developed by King Suryavarman II, and it took 45 years for them to build. There are many theories of how ANGKOR was built, because ANGKOR temple is very unusual with the rest of the thousands of Cambodian temples. Before the rule of Suryavarman II, all the rulers of Cambodia were Shaivites, so they built temples for Shiva. After Suryavarman II, who built ANGKOR, and he dedicated this temple to Vishnu. After him, for next 6-7 centuries, they continued to build Shiva temples. So why there's a temple that's for Vishnu, in which that doesn't even make lineage sense. And this is the largest temple. And this is the largest place of worship of any kind. It's bigger than Mecca, bigger than Vatican, bigger than Sri Lanka, it's bigger than everything. It's the largest place of worship in the world. So why then for Vishnu with no connection in terms of being? So this is a very intriguing topic, and that led to us actually from Singapore, for me to actually went to look, find the answers for it. The other beauty of this temple is that it also, of course, grand and big, but there are 1,795 sculptures of female sculptures carved on the temple walls, and they are not the Apsaras, not the dancing Apsaras. The dancing Apsaras will be in a dance pose. These are standing poses. I will show it in a minute. And then why? So when the Western historians wrote the books, they said, oh, this is must be a mausoleum for Suryavarman II, and he was buried here, and these women are for his afterlife pleasure in the heavens. So they were trying to relate it to the tombs of the Egypt, the tombs of the Chinese emperors. But Hindu tradition, we don't bury, first of all, it's cremated. Second, we don't bury or cremate even a royalty in a temple. So that was flawed. And then we also don't have the practice of carving women for afterlife pleasure, because that's not a Hindu practice at all. So until very recently, as 40 years ago, this was the belief that is a mausoleum. And there have been many, there's a wonderful YouTube video on YouTube where they prove it is a mausoleum, okay, wrongly, yeah. But then, of course, you know the Cambodians went under Khmer Rouge, and they were not accessible to many things. It took them many years to come out of the Khmer Rouge. So during the Khmer Rouge period, anybody who could read or write were killed. All the artists were killed. So anybody who can challenge the regime were actually killed. So any thinkers, philosophers, writers, authors. So the Cambodia lost a lot of brain resource. So only now they are able to wake up and write their own history and to rewrite and say that no, that's all wrong. It's not a mausoleum. And to prove that it's a mausoleum, the historian said all Hindu temples face the east, but ANGKOR faces the west. So they proved it that it is actually using that theory. But there's a reason why it is facing the west, because on the solstice day, which is March 18th and September 18th, 18 to 21, you actually come to visit ANGKOR. The sun will come right on top of the main gopura, the main one on there, and it'll just go past right in the center. As it goes past, it'll actually illuminate. So Vishnu is the main deity. He's facing the west. and then you see the entire sun actually come up and go. Another place that this happens, this kind of miracle happens using astronomy is Chichen Itza in Mexico, where you actually have on the same day the pyramids will light up by the sun, and the snakes will move. The shadow of the sun will fall as snakes on the ramps. So if the temple was facing the east, and if you face the west as to enter east, you will never see this phenomenon because it will be at the back of your head. So they turn the temple around so that anybody who's entering the temple will actually see this phenomenon happening. So even now you can go there twice a year, this miracle will happen. So that's the reason why it was established. So it is many mysteries are shrouded in this temple. So one of the most important the architectures there, that's the 5 lotuses. These are 5 lotuses, and the 5 lotuses that in the Hindu belief of Lalita Mahatripurasundari, she is also holding the 5 lotus in her hand. So this is a Shakti Pidam. It's dedicated for women, and that opens the key to why there are so many women carved. So that's the first clue that how it was made. But inside the temple becomes the bas reliefs. Maybe we should off this inside light for a while. So now you can see there, you can see Vishnu, and you can see the churning of the milk ocean. So churning of the milk ocean is the main bas relief of Angkor. So 1 mile by 1 mile temple has a lot of bas reliefs on the 4-level corridors. It's 6-story building, and so there is Mahabharata on one side, Ramayana on one side, Skanda Purana on another side, then local war of Suryavarman II, and then of course this churning of the milk ocean. This bas relief is about 100, almost 90 something meters long. Okay, and you have the Apsaras and Devas pulling the the Vasuki serpent, and Vishnu on Kurma, standing on Kurma Avatar. Okay, because the Kurma happened at this time, and there are 79 Devas and 81 Asuras, right? And how it's been carved on the wall. Of course, then it has a little corridor with pillars, so the sunlight can come. And during the different month of the year, the sunlight will light up either one Ashura or one Deva. Okay, and it's used as the Kama calendar. So Kama calendar is used on this. So as it moves from month to month, a different Ashura and a different Deva will be lit up in the corridor. It's a very beautiful way they actually have carved it. And of course, interestingly, at the end of the Devas, interestingly, Hanuman is helping them. So you see Hanuman here, very tall Vishwarupa Hanuman, and he is actually helping the Devas because they couldn't withstand the force of the Asuras. So this is very important, as you can see from this bas relief here. So you see here, this is Hanuman, and you see all the Devas holding the Vasuki serpent here, and then you see here all the dancing Apsaras. Yeah. So there are about 3,000 something Apsaras were dancing, and according to the Vedas, the Apsaras were born when the milk ocean was churned. The vapor of the milk ocean became the Apsaras, and that's why they can dart and they can fly and they can dance beautifully because they're very light. And so that's how they are depicting as well. So they show that in detail. And for Apsara, the Apsaras, Cambodia is a very important place for them because they believe that the Khmer race was born to the Apsaras. So the Apsaras came out of the milk ocean and they married the descendants of the Nagas, and then the the human race was born, the Cambodian race was born. So Apsaras is very special for them. That's why their classical dance is called Apsara dance. Okay. So the word Apsaras is all over the place. And interestingly, our founders of Apsaras arts named our dance company Apsaras. So when we Google, we end up always in Cambodia. So this is the thing. Now this is the other female figurines that I talked to you about. The 1795 of them. And they do not dance. They actually are standing like this. But I only showed you 3 of them. There's one here. And I'm showing another 2 here. Alright, and I'm showing another one there. What do you see? Compare these 2. What do you see?
One has their own higher.
Their headgear is different. So there are 1795 unique headgear. Not one of the female are same. The other thing, and what they hold in their hands also are different. Alright? And the beauty is that they have done biogeometric scans on their faces, and you can actually identify all the human race. So there is Caucasian, there is the Cambodian race, the Indian race, the Asian race, the African race. So it has every single human features that are found around the world, including Red Indian, that's been carved. So there's a scholar who has been guiding me for many years from Florida, who spent 40 years researching just this topic itself, and he calls it the first Facebook of the world. Okay, so these devatas were carved by Suryavarman II to celebrate the women of Angkor, because it was a matriarchal society. Okay, like many ancient, so Cambodia was a matriarchal society, and the women held power, the women owned the lands, the women were very educated. So he wanted to celebrate the women of Angkor, which was never celebrated before his time, and that. And then why Vishnu temple that we found after about 3-4 years of searching? It's because during the reign of Suryavarman II, he united many kingdoms and he created the largest empire for Angkor. So at least during his reign, Angkor was all the way up to Malaysia and all the way up to China, Vietnam border. So it was a huge empire, almost the entire Southeast Asia, except Indonesia was under under the Cambodian kingdom. And because of that, there was peace and tranquility in the country. There was no more small little battles and wars everywhere. So the Indian artisans who actually came from Cholanadu advised him that you should celebrate Vishnu, who is a protector, because you seem to be the protector of the people. So they mirrored that philosophy. But then after his reign, Angkor broke up again anyway, and then they went back to only building Shiva temples. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. So based on this research of this women and Vishnu, we actually did a dance production, and we actually told the story of one of these women of the 1795. It was a historical fiction that we wrote based on facts, because we don't have the names of any of them, so we had to give a name. And we created a story of how this spirit of this Angkor actually is still there, and she still welcomes the visitors even today. And then the story of how that happened, and she tells a story through the whole narration. And so we had Priyadashri Govind from India, leading Bharatanatyam dancer, who was casted in this role, and she became the spirit of Angkor. And we did this production based on that. Yeah. So Angkor, a lot of stories about Angkor, deeds of Angkor is available all over the places, right? But what is very interesting in the Angkor, when I say Angkor Wat is one temple of the thousands in Angkor. But today we would like to focus on onto a very special temple called Bante Serai. Now, Bante Sarai is a temple which is made of red sandstone, okay, and it's a beautiful temple. It is miniature. It is very small size, but because of the stone being soft, it has got beautiful filigree bas reliefs which can come alive with so much of stories, for which we will see some music and dance now. And so this is a temple that we like to focus. So just the history, it was consecrated in 1987 Common Era, the reign of the King Rajendra Varman, but it also was called the Citadel for Women, and today it's called the Jewel of Kamarat, because of its beauty both inside and outside. It's a beautiful temple. And Citadel for Women has many theories. One is because it is very elegant and it's very beautiful. The other reason was it was also a place of gathering of women to actually go into like an ashram life. So it had a lot of women priestess there. But it was not built by any king. So this beautiful temple was never built by any royalty. It was built by a guru of Rajendra Varman. His name is Yagnavaraha, and he actually built this temple, and it predates ANGKOR, right? So it's before ANGKOR, and so it was built by these ascetics and gurus, and not built by a royalty. So it's also very special that way. All the other 999 temples are all royal built temple. The main deity is Tirubhuvana Maheshwara, the Lord of the three worlds, and also he is also called as Chandrasekhara. And another beauty of this temple is it's a Shiva temple, but then it is a twin temple because you actually have both Vaishnavite and Shaivite references in the temple, right? So maybe we will start. I will show you. So in this temple, if you go to Cambodia Bante Sarai, you wouldn't find the main deity. The main Sanctum Sanctorum is empty because the deity is in the museum in Phnom Penh. So I brought him here to Paris. You can look at him. So he is the main deity, Chandrasekhara Tirupura Maheshwara. Of course, the Parvati has got damaged, her head got damaged. But you can see how beautifully he is holding her and seated. So maybe we will listen to a song in praise of Chandrasekhara Bhai.
Sanātana
Rishabha. So we have Shiva and Parvati on the Rishabha here. So these are the beautiful the class release that we will explore today. So every nook and corner, every bas relief is so detailed, there's no blank space. So they are at least split up with these lotuses, or they have small little figurines of devotees. So it's really a masterpiece of art. And the temple has a lot of seated deities. So this is the deity of Hanuman and Sugriva. And so the temple has a lot of these beautiful seated images as well, right? And as you can see, this is how it looks. It's a miniature, like a miniature temple. Of course, it's not small; it's big, but it's not grand as ANGKOR is all about. So I made about 14 visits to ANGKOR to do this research, and every time I will go to Bantesarai, and only on my 13th trip, as I was coming out of the temple, then I saw 4 lines of scriptures being carved, and I had been through the door many times before, but it was meant to be on that day. So I took a photo on my iPhone, came back and spoke to the scholars, and it is written in something like a Devanagari script, but it's a Khmer script based on Sanskrit. But what was written is Sanskrit. The text was not Sanskrit, and it is a text that was written when the temple was consecrated, and it's a consecration hymn for the temple. So it's so beautiful. So maybe we could listen to it because we got it tuned. So it's a very short one.
शेखरमशेष
Temple, this is the overall layout. So there's a huge corridor which is that you enter, and then every Cambodian temple has a moat. Okay, and why the moat is because it actually was the Cambodian the earlier Khmers believed that they would like to create the Meru, the mythological mountain Meru, which is surrounded by the water. And architecturally it also becomes reflection pools, because then you can see the reflection of the architecture. And so every temple has a pool. Angkor Wat itself has a huge, and they are man-made structures. So they have to divert rivers to bring water to create these pools and moats. It's not natural. But oddly enough, tragically what happened was the Khmer Rouge thought that they are all agricultural pools, and they tried to force Khmer people to go back to agriculture. So that's our tradition, that's our life. So stop being an artisan, stop being a poet, stop being anything else. Just go back to farming. And so people were forced. Families were split. 2 sons were sent to another part of Cambodia. They forced labor into agriculture because they were misled. They thought all this collection of water that the kings had built, but they had built it not for agriculture mainly. They were built for other reasons, right? So this temple also has the water moat around it, and as you enter there, the main deities you can see there's Sankam Santorum, and then it's got all the other deities. The beauty of this small temple is that it has got all the details. You have the Navagrahas, the 9 planets carved. You have the what we call the Ashtadikbalas, the 8 cardinal deities. On their specific animal mounts, which are carved, and all the stories of both from Shaivaism and from Vaishnavism is carved there. So it's very interesting. So this could be an inspiration later for Angkor to come out as a Vishnu temple, right? But so this temple actually had both in sharing in balance. And so these are the kind of detail you can see the carvings are, and we will particularly see a few now. So this is Vishnu taking the Narasimha avatar. So they have showed the lion face that is going to become a lion-headed deity, and then you see him as full-fledged tearing Hiranyakashipu. Whose body is down and done that. And if you look at this, it's very interesting because Hiranyakashipu Narasimha, ripping up in India, in any temple, anywhere you go, it's shown horizontal. The Hiranyakasipu is the light and you can never see the face of Hiranyakasipu.
Yeah.
Here they want you to see the face of Hiranyakasipu, so they put it this way. So this is why I say it's not copy paste. So they actually have their own imagination, own visualization of the epics and how they brought about it. And you can see that the ferociousness of the lion is so captured, so well captured. And these bas reliefs are exposed to the nature. They're out there for rain and shine for now almost 2,000 years, right? But still they are preserved. And you can see no detail is there. And you can see Prakalada praying with his hand down there, and then you can see the devas are rejoicing, right? So you can see the details very, very beautifully done. So this is the one story of Hiranyakashipu, Narasimha Avatara. Then we have Mahalakshmi on top of the door lentil, like you would see in any temple, but you can see how beautifully and so detailed is that. And the thing is that the faces of all these deities are very Kama, the square chin structure. So they didn't like mimic an Indian face, or though they are following the epics from Hindu mythology. So this is Mahalakshmi there, and then of course you have this beautiful Hanuman that is carved in there. So along with this Mahalakshmi, you also have Saraswati. Then you also have the stories of Mahishasura-Mardini. So it balances both. Yeah? So you have Shaivite and Hindu stories, Vaishnava stories coming hand in hand. So now we'll invite Mohanapriyan to demonstrate a dance which is choreographed to come alive these bas reliefs that I just showed you.
Yeah? You don't only see the beautiful carving on the wall of the temple or the gopuram of the temple, but there are sculptures carved on the river bed. So under the river there are lots of stones that have been carved on Vishnu and Brahma and all. So in my dance, firstly I will introduce that, and then I'll go into introducing Lakshmi, Saraswati, all the other deities who are carved on the gopuram.
We